Duncan Cartledge Online, Insights for Construction Professionals. Welcome to this latest episode of the Duncan Cartledge Online podcast, the online resource for construction professionals. Duncan Cartledge Online offers more than 9 hours of video presentations available 24/7 for just £7 a month. Remember to subscribe to your usual podcast provider so you don't miss a thing or any updates. And be sure to visit our YouTube channel for additional content. It's great to have you with us again for another episode. And as always, I'm joined by Barney, my red Labrador, who helps keep an eye on things and very occasionally offers some invaluable advice. Both Barney and I would be delighted if you could take a moment to write a review because your feedback means a lot to us. If this is your first time listening to Duncan Cartledge Online podcast, welcome. Please remember to subscribe and catch up with our previous episodes. To our existing subscribers, thank you very much for your continued support. Please help us by spreading the word about the podcasts. In this jam-packed episode, Barney and I will be looking at UK construction, State of the Nation 2026 and Mippins in the Air. Last month, the CITB, that's the Construction Industries Training Board, published its overview of the construction industry in 2026, and it didn't make for very encouraging reading. The CITB is, of course, at the sharp end as far as skills and training is concerned. The report didn't pull its punches, describing construction as a sector that has largely remained unchanged for decades. The challenges construction is facing were broken down into the following related areas, and together they tell the story of an industry at the crossroads. Continue with the same way and fall short, or alternatively, invest in people and innovation to secure the future. Challenge number 1, and it's an old chestnut. Fewer people are available to the industry. Demographics show there simply aren't enough young people entering the workforce to meet demand across all sectors. According to the Employer Skills Survey 2024, hard-to-fill vacancy densities was highest in construction at 57% and was above average in manufacturing, a sector that construction regularly recruits from. We really seem to be running out of ideas on this one. Okay, so moving quickly on to Challenge 2, demand for construction skills is growing faster than supply. Get It Right Initiative is a group of industry experts, organisations and businesses dedicated to eliminating errors and improving UK construction industry. Construction errors impose a significant financial burden on the UK construction industry. According to Get It Right, the annual cost of these errors is estimated to be around 7 times the industry's total annual profit. Investing in training and professional development not only reduces errors, but also boosts output and profitability. In construction, where the cost of mistakes is disproportionately high, reducing rework alone could ease pressure from rising demand and improve productivity. Get It Right Initiative's research reveals that when unrecorded process waste, latent defects, and indirect costs are included, the situation gets much worse. Estimates of total cost of errors range from 10 to 25% of project cost, or between £10 and £25 billion per annum. But to improve quality, productivity, safety and sustainability, we need to engage leadership and change attitudes. The CIOB has also been assessing the industry zeitgeist amongst clients. In response to the question in a CIOB recent client survey, how would you like contractors to improve their services? Perhaps not surprisingly, almost 3/4 of clients said workmanship and build quality. We've all seen the headlines like "New Build Hell." Without a focus on competency, quality drops and rework increases, ultimately leading to poor productivity. When comparing new home completions with customer satisfaction data, periods of high output have often aligned with lower customer satisfaction. Reduced satisfaction typically reflects underlying quality issues that require time and money to resolve, driving up remedial work. This adds costs, diverts resources, and ultimately has a negative impact on productivity. And so, on to challenge number 3. The construction workforce today is slightly smaller than its pre-COVID level. More worryingly, under current trends, the workforce will not grow enough to meet future needs. It may even shrink relative to demand. The industry is essentially running at a standstill, replacing some levers but failing to expand net employment. The demographic profile shows a clear trend. The workforce is getting older. As of 2023, around 24% of construction workers were over 55. This was only around 13% in 2000, highlighting the shift. The average age of all construction workers is now 42 and climbing, with a substantial proportion of workers set to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. An aging workforce brings 2 issues: loss of experienced workers due to retirement, and potential declines in productivity or ability in physically demanding jobs as workers age. Both highlight the need to attract new entrants and retain mid-career talent to maintain industry capability. Construction workers, particularly those with manual jobs, tend to retire earlier than other sectors. Delaying retirement by a year or 2 or improving conditions to reduce mid-career turnover could significantly decrease the skills gap. Offering flexibility in the number of hours worked, less physically intense roles for older tradespeople, as well as improving workplace culture to boost retention. Many younger workers cite job conditions for a reason for leaving. These are all within our gift and could have a positive impact on retention. At the other end of the pipeline, just under half of apprentices do not complete their end-of-point assessments, and a sizable proportion of new entrants leave the industry within their first 12 months, quoting, "Don't like it, it wasn't for me, and I didn't like the type of work." You may remember a similar report last year cited Gen Z's highlighting the lack of breakout rooms and poor temperature control on site as reasons for turning their back on construction. Improving retention and achievement rates for learners, strengthening the links between learning and employment, and then improving retention rates are all necessary to close the skills and workforce capacity gap. Recent ONS statistics reinforce the above picture, suggesting that the UK construction industry shrank by more than 300,000 workers between 2005 and 2025, and concluded the broader risk is not having enough people to deliver work if demand increases at some point, which could result in higher tender prices for clients and reduced product viability. And on the same theme, challenge number 4. Current productivity levels are insufficient to offset worker shortages. Off-site construction and MMC is proving not to be a silver bullet for productivity improvement. Despite numerous attempts to increase its use, off-site methods have made little impact on overall output. In 2024, 31% of completions recorded by NHBC included an element of off-site construction, primarily driven by panelised construction, while growth in other categories remains low. This proportion has been largely steady for several years, suggesting off-site has reached a near-term capacity. This is not to say that future growth is unachievable, but additional productivity gains will almost likely come from a series of long-term incremental changes involving the adoption of new techniques and technologies and finding smarter ways of working. Perhaps the much publicised digital revolution can come to the rescue, if you'll excuse my cynicism. Therefore, to summarise the CITB overview, the construction industry stands at a crossroads. To secure its future and deliver on the national ambitions, it must invest in people, modernise its approach to skills and training, and work collaboratively across the sector. Only by doing this can it build capacity, close the skills gap, boost productivity, and remain a key driver in the economic growth and society's well-being. As mentioned earlier, this month saw the publication of the CIOB client survey of among 115 built environment clients. The respondents were a mix of public and private clients, with headcounts between over 1,000 to fewer than 50 employees. And according to the CIOB, confidence among construction clients is broadly high at present, although work priorities are centred on reconfiguring or refurbishing existing assets. The survey concluded design and build is currently the most popular procurement route at around 63%, closely followed by traditional design bid build, which was preferred by 54% of respondents, whereas framework agreements are used by 41% of clients and 24% use alliancing and partnering contracts, which personally I find surprising. Variations on procurement routes used by some respondents include two-stage design and build and integrated project delivery. Construction management was found to be popular, with 24% of clients interviewed. As far as standard forms of contract are concerned, traditional contract forms still dominate the choice of clients, with JCT being preferred by 65% and NEC by 42%. When clients were asked, what are your top priorities when choosing a contractor to work with, more than 3/4 of clients answered quality of construction, closely followed by cost certainty, which also scored highly at about 72%, a consequence of the sharp rise in tender inflation, and almost half of clients said collaboration and communication was a key priority. Other priorities cited when appointing a contractor were speed of delivery, flexibility in accommodating changes, and risk allocation. Attitudes amongst clients to sustainability paints a mixed picture, with 43% of respondents saying they have policies on circular economy, e.g. recycling, while 38% focus on reducing embodied carbon in materials and the supply chain. However, only 18% regard sustainability as a priority when appointing a contractor. Could there be a bit of virtue signalling going on here? Generally, the ability of construction supply chain to deliver on sustainability priorities was questioned. And now turning to the uptake of digital technologies. Using digital technologies to improve information management was a key recommendation of James Judith Hackett's post-Grenfell report, but only 36% of respondents said they are now using information management systems aligned with ISO 19650, that's the international standard for managing information over the entire life cycle of a built asset. In terms of overall priorities, implementing digital asset management and data-driven decision-making was selected by a third of respondents. Almost half of the clients surveyed by the CIOB survey employed BIM for design and coordination, again demonstrating a focus on project delivery, in addition to using on-site digital technologies, e.g. drones for surveys, and this is becoming increasingly popular. The survey concluded that digital twins are used by 17% of respondents, and sensors and Internet of Things by 14%. Artificial intelligence is employed by 17%, a number that will surely grow, judging by some of the anecdotal comments, while augmented virtual reality for applications such as design visualization is used by the same percentage. As a footnote, I think caution should be exercised when interpreting terms like used, employed or implemented, as they beg the question, to what extent? It certainly seems like the report season has arrived, as Building published its Good Employers Guide 2026 based on the respondents from 52 firms of all sizes earlier this week. For me, the most noticeable takeaway from the report is the number of firms who offer either flexible working or days required in the office or on site at 3 or 4 days a week, with a few companies only insisting on 1 or 2 days a week in the office, something unheard of only 10 years ago. So, what conclusions can we draw from all these reports? For me, it's frustration. Despite construction clients appearing to be happy, it's obvious that initiatives to address skills shortages are inadequate. MMCs are not coming to the rescue, and the construction continues to rely on traditional approaches and standard forms. And finally, it's MIPIN time again, and I had an email this week telling me that I could not afford to miss MIPIN 2026. Now, for those who don't know what MIPIN is, it's a 4-day real estate fair held every year in March in Cannes in the south of France. Many years ago, when I was working with Cyril Sweet & Partners, I remember ringing their London office and asking to speak to one of their partners, only to be told that he was coming back from MIPIN. In my ignorance, I asked, "Will he be long?" which met with a stony silence. It's claimed that over 20,000 visitors attend MIPIN, which must do wonders for the local hospitality sector, not to mention champagne producers. Then, of course, there's the €2,300 for a delegate pass and return business class fare and accommodation. For those of us who are RICS members, it's good to know the RICS will be there in numbers and hosting a members' reception at the £200 a night, the Majestic Hotel. Described as your chance to catch up with fellow RICS members, although it does seem a long way to go for that. Just why not go round to the Dog and Duck? The good news is, it's free to get in, but of course you've got to get there. There's more. I received another email outlining a number of exciting events showcasing, wait for it, Newcastle and Gateshead property landscape. Shades of T. Dan Smith. Call me a cynic, but I wonder if MIPIN would have the same appeal if it was held in Eastbourne. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Eastbourne, it's just a thought. Well, that's all for this episode, folks. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you for listening right through to the end. Barney and I think your stamina is outstanding. This has been another episode from Duncan Cartledge Online. We'd really appreciate it if you would help us by spreading the word, subscribing, and if you have the time, write a review. Until next time, thank you for your continued support, take care, and see you at MIPIN. Only joking.